Good morning, D20 Studios fans. It's time for another Develop with Ross episode. And today's episode is be entitled A Touch of the Divine. We're going to be making some new celestial spells for our upcoming game, Summoner's Fate. Summoner's Fate is a turn-based strategy game combined with a deck builder that's about winning in the most creative and weird ways possible. This is our website, summonersfate.com, where you can learn more about the game and also purchase our pre-release, which is available now. It's an awesome experience because we are a community-driven developer committed to working with players to create the most amazing game experience with you. And I've been doing these streams now. This is, I said, episode 17, so quite a while. And we've also been sharing and involving the community in our game development process since the inception of Summoner's Fate, which has been nearly 3 years in development full time now. So it's been an exciting journey. I am an indie game based studio here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And as you can see behind me, it is another beautiful sunny day here. So let's get ourselves started. This is our website again, so you guys check this out, of the cool features we've got planned. All right, so last week we had an interesting episode. Last week was Walk on the Wild Side, and we had attempted to create uh, spells that were themed in nature, and we ended on attempting to create a spell called Savage Transformation, which lets you transform your summoner into a bear. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my agenda here. This is the daily updates page. If you guys want to follow along with us, you can get to this by going to, I gosh, probably should walk this through. Click on the forums here. Okay, and then go to game updates and news, and just go ahead and click on daily updates here, and you're going to jump to my latest agenda page, where I kind of have a little synopsis of what's planned in today's episode. All right. So, as I was saying, last week we had attempted to create this spell called Savage Transformation that turns you into a bear until the start of your next turn. And we ran into some problems, didn't quite get it working, had to leave and go pick up my daughter, so it didn't end in success last week. But I'm pleased to say, after some further debugging and working through the issues, I was able to get the spell working. And the cool thing about it was that the effect necessary to create the Savage Transformation, which was our Limbo effect, had an amazing side effect of opening my eyes up to how I could create some of the time travel spells that we have planned for Summoner's Fate. We are very pleased to be the first card-based deck builder game to offer time traveling mechanics, and I'm going to be working on a couple of those today. We have many more planned for the future, and we're also going to be looking at some other awesome celestial spells that you can see down here below. I'll also try and get some of these other spells we had attempted last week but didn't finish working as well. So let's go ahead and start by giving you guys a quick walkthrough of the spell we had worked on last time, which was our Savage Transformation. So this is the spell here, and you can see now that when I cast that on my character, she transforms successfully into a bear. And the cool thing, if we disenchant that spell, remove the status effect, or simply wait until the next turn, and I'll just go ahead and just do a dispel magic on her. Do I have one of those? Yeah. You'll see that she transforms back correctly into her druid form. Very exciting. So that's working now. All right. And as I was saying, what's cool about that is that this sort of struck an inspiration for how to create one of the time traveling spells. So give a little bit of introduction to time travel here. Let's see, this is our time travel spell. Now, the image that you see here is actually a very specific character. So Kelly, my wife, had helped me conceive of the idea of using the race of mutant rat people as the basis for time travel. And it's kind of a cool story. I am not the most creative or original thinker when it comes to thematic type story element things, but she is very original and creative. And so I had originally planned to have the typical evil sewer mutant rat type creatures in the game that were more of a dark plague rat type of thing. And she suggested, flat out, Ross, that's boring. That's not fun at all. Wouldn't it be more interesting if we completely turned on its head, did something unexpected? So rather than having dirty sewer rats, we have prim and proper steampunk rats. These are dubbed the Celestial Steampunk Timekeeper Rats. It's the best thing since Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And you can see, I'm going to show off some of these characters here, then we'll kind of dive into the time spell and how that's going to work. Let's see where those time rats go. And I've got them at the bottom here. Here we go. So here's some of the characters, and she had conceived of all the designs, did all the concept, pre-concept work that she passed along to artists to kind of design them. But you can see there's inspiration from all kinds of various steampunk elements. You got like this kind of a gear clock mechanic here and a gear switch thing. This is the Chronomancer. He's kind of like the leader of the group, and they have the power to cast celestial magic and to control time. You can see here's his card. He's coming soon. We're still working on what his powers are going to be. So if you got ideas for that, I would love to hear those. All right, and then here's another one, our Time Bomber and the Timekeeper Warrior. So you can kind of see where we're going with these. But we've got all kinds of interesting cards that are going to affect time travel by using our undo system to rewind the clock and let you actually go back to previous turns. There's this golem we have planned coming up. Where's that golem at? Was it the Clockwork Golem? Steam Clock Sentinel, this guy. When you summon him, he actually travels back to the past by rewinding the board back to your opponent's last turn and dropping them. So they have to replay their last turn, but now there's this giant robot they have to fight. Cool stuff like that. All right, but we're going to start off with the time spell. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to that now. And that's why the art was themed that way. So let's go ahead and take a look at... Actually, let's start with the Savage Transformation. I'll kind of walk through how we got this to ultimately work, since I get a chance to talk about this last time. So this is the Savage Transformation spell, and as I mentioned, the way we're handling this transform in this case, previously transforms would simply remove an old unit and create a whole new one in its place, and it would be a permanent transformation. But with the Bear spell, we wanted you to be able to transform back into your main character. So the idea was to take your summoner, whatever stats they had, and basically place them into this limbo state off the board, and then put the bear in its place. So it's kind of like a swap happening. And then after the spell wears off, we remove the bear and put the summoner back from limbo. So we had to program this new type of effect. I actually did a lot of coding last week where we created the limbo effect. And the pieces I didn't get a chance to talk about last week that I added in here was a specific targeting method. So we can now target units in limbo. And have different things act upon them. And that's what was a trick to getting it working. So you can see here there's a few things we do. Part of the transformation, I came up with this rule that whenever you transform into a new unit, it removes all your existing enchantments because it's kind of like you're cleansing the form of what you are now and reverting into this new animal form. So it removes all your existing effects. It calls the place limbo effect, so it puts your existing character into limbo. It creates the bear unit. It sets the trait to hero on the bear, so the bear becomes your new caster. And then it applies a custom effect, which is going to be responsible for handling the return of your original summoner from limbo. And that's stored here. If I dive into that, you can see has duration of next turn, and it stores the ID of the character that was transformed here. And then in here, this is the part where when the status is removed, this is a trigger. We set the hero to the character that's returning. We return them from limbo, and then we reactivate them so they can use commands and actions again. Okay, so that's how that worked. So it occurred to me that this is all the parts I needed to build the time travel mechanic for that spell. So let's take a look at time travel here, and I'll kind of show you how that works. Right now it's listed as non-functional. So we're going to make sure it's all fully functional. Let's go ahead and change this to functional. I'm going to get rid of this. So this will be another new spell in the upcoming client I've been promising. I know it's been a while, but believe me, I've been working very hard. There's going to be tons of new content, lots of fixes. There's just so much I have to go through to get it all working so that it'll be a quality experience and hopefully have no bugs. And we'll be able to get some good solid testing on that and verify everything's ready so that when I start injecting the single player content, we're going to be in a really strong place. Okay, so here's the time travel spell. What it does, you can see here's our Chronomancer. It's going to remove your summoner from the board until the start of your next turn. So this is essentially a spell where you're going to take and travel to the future. From a design point of view, gameplay point of view, why is this a great spell? Well, in Summoner's Fate, your summoner is your main character. You play all your cards for that character, and you win the game in a multiplayer match by defeating the opponent's summoner. You lose if your summoner is defeated. So the notion that you can remove yourself from the board until your next turn means that your opponent can't possibly attack you or deal damage. So they can still summon things, attack your other characters, but you are protected. So it's a very, very, very powerful spell in that regard. Very good protection spell and allows you to get a leg up on your opponent. So if you don't have the means to survive this turn, maybe next turn you can get a better card or be in a better position to help, maneuver against your opponent. All right, so let's walk through the different steps involved in here. So first off, we've got apply status effect custom nested. We're going to talk about that. That's the return to board status. So we're going to create a status effect that controls returning the summoner from the board. And then once again, we're going to use the place limbo. So here's where that work from last week came into play in inspiring this new card. And then we're going to set the trait of the hero to 0. We do this here so that there's no accidental chance the player can try to cast spells where there's no summoner on board because that would cause all kinds of bugs. All right, and let's take a look at the return to board here and see what we got going on. Okay, so return, and it's going to say source name, so this will show the name of your caster here on your next turn. It's kind of interesting. Unlike the Savage transformation where you put yourself into the form of the bear, you're leaving the board, so there's nothing to really designate, where you're coming back to. So what we're going to do is actually place a status effect on a tile on the board. You can see here that in the target type I use cast location. So wherever you cast from, it's almost like they're going to create a little portal there, a time rift, if you will. And that's what this status effect is going to represent. And for the icon, to kind of give a marker of the game, I'm just going to use the existing card art. So I'll place that card art on the tile. And then we've got some triggered abilities. And they're all got to do with returning the character back from limbo. So we've got return on removing is the most important. I'm going to go into here. And you can see here it's a trigger event. When I remove the status, we're going to follow the action default targeting. And of course, it has to be the ability source, which means that when this status effect is removed, not just any status effect. Okay, go away. All right, so what's going to happen is, just like the bear spell, we're going to set the hero back to 1, and then we're going to return the summoner from limbo. Now, what's going to be interesting about this is how we're targeting that summoner and where we're placing them. So you'll see here that the primary targeting method is any space that's closest. Okay, so what's interesting about this method is that when the summoner returns back from the future, in the future, I guess. Man, it's going to be hard to describe the nuances of that. When the summoner returns in the future, that space they cast the spell on may now be occupied by another character. So it's going to be a bit of a problem if we simply have them return that space and the space is occupied, because now you've got two things occupying the same space. So to avoid that, rather than simply target the space this is on, we're going to target the closest available space. So that's what I'm saying here. Any space that's empty, that's closest, and closest in this case refers to the caster origination, which is this. The actual caster is the status effect, the portal we created. And then we're going to target as our secondary target units in limbo, and we want the target that has the time traveler ID that we stored upon casting it. Okay, so this creates the portal that's going to return them back to the closest spot. All right, and then we have some additional effects because I had to make considerations for things like our single player mode, where you could be exploring the board and the battle ends and there are no turns after the battle ends. So how do you come back? Well, we put a trigger in place so that when the battle ends, we remove the status effect. That will, of course, bring your character back from the time portal onto the board. And then a remove on start turn. This is the status effect that just removes the status effect at the beginning of the turn so that the duration of it is correct. Okay. So those are all the pieces and elements of that there. And I added some just basic VFX. Again, I will be doing a full, high caliber VFX polish pass once I've got all the single player mechanics working and functional, and we're kind of in our polish phase. But for now, I want to have just some basic VFX to give some feedback to the user that there's something happening. Otherwise, it can get a bit confusing when cards are being played. So it's not the final VFX. I hope to have really cool time clock portal sounds and all kinds of stuff happening. But for now, it's just our basic BAMF VFX that we use for cards. Okay, I'm trying to check if there's anything else we need here, and I think that's all. So let's go ahead and check this out and see if we can get time travel working as corrected. All right, so grassy path. I've been using this level as a test thing for whatever reason. I just kind of pick one level and stick with it, I guess. All right, so maybe we should use the rat so it's more appropriate, even if he is only a placeholder at this point. Where's the rat? Where's that time travel rat? Here we go, Chronomancer. All right, let's begin. Start the game up. All right, so you're gonna see here I have kind of an abundance of cards. I'm using my debugger mode, so I have pretty much my entire deck here. I've got a set of all kinds of cards I'm testing. But you can see here's the time travel spell. Where'd it go? All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and cast that on my rat. To the future! Ha ha ha! Okay, so you can see on the tile now I've got Return Chronomancer here on our next turn. That's the effect of the spell. Kind of the other cool reason I made it a status effect. Um, I had this option where we can make it where you couldn't dispel this, but I thought there should be some design purpose way of allowing the opponent a chance to still get you, right? That you're not totally invulnerable to attack. So I tend to use status effects because there's always a fun play when you cast something like a Dispel Magic, which of course I can't cast right now because I can't cast spells since I have no summoner now. He's in the future. He can't cast the cards if he's not here. Um, anyway, let's go ahead and end my turn, and we'll see that character comes back. I think the AI doesn't have any spells right now, so I'm not sure what they're going to do. They're just going to walk around and poke me with the goblins, I guess. Ah! Now, so you notice here, this is interesting. The goblin is actually standing on his tile, and if we did it right, the summoner should probably return. Closest space will probably be right here is where I think he'll come back. And there he is! We're back in the future! So the spell worked successfully. That's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. An interesting thing to note about the time travel spell that also distinguishes it. I should probably get somebody that's got more life. All right, we're going to take the rat off for now, but there he is. It's just because he's so cool. I just love that. Steampunk Celestial Timekeeper rat. Okay. Let's put somebody else in here. Let's use, how about we use the Pyromancer or something. Give me another summoner. I got so many cards to drink through here. All right. The Pyromancer. Okay, we're going to start this over. And then I'm also going to give the AI a test deck so I can kind of show you. Here, just spell test. Perfect. Let's turn this on. Test options. Show AI cards. Show full AI deck. Perfect. All right, let's restart this. Okay, so here's what's interesting about the time spell. So because she's going to limbo, it actually will store all of the different effects she has on her. So let's say we put a force, before we do that, let's get her injured so we can show the stat. All right, so now she's been injured. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put a force field on her. And now we're going to use the time travel spell. Where'd it go? Boom. All right, so she's traveled to the future. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I wanted to have a way for the opponent to be able to still get you. So Summoner's Fate is all about like a rock, paper, scissors kind of mentality where there is the only randomness is really in the shuffling of the deck, but also there's a bit of a chaos element in terms of anticipating what your opponent might bring and then having the appropriate counter to it. So the way you get ahead in Summoner's Fate is by trying to anticipate the possible moves your opponent might play, and then gain an advantage by playing something that's a natural strength, a rock to their scissors, right? Everything is overpowered and epic to play. Like that spell is really powerful. But if you've got the right counter to it, you can gain an edge over the opponent and take the win. That's what Summoner's Fate's about. So there's always really powerful OP spells, but there are counters to all of them. And so having the right counter at the right time is what gives you the advantage to win. And so it's all about trying to anticipate what your opponent may have and then choosing to bring the right things in your deck to deal with those situations. And then, of course, a little bit of luck in having to be able to draw at the right time. But a Dispel Magic card is something, kind of more rare, more fringe, definitely a counter spell. That's why it's only costs one. It's very cheap because it has a very limited function. It can't just deal damage like a fireball is always great, right? But a Dispel Magic for a cost of one has the potential to undermine someone's strategy pretty heavily. You can get rid of their buffs and stuff like that for a low cost of one. It's pretty awesome. So what we do here is if I dispel the portal, this will return the summoner to the board. So that's a way you can kind of, you know, hedge, counter against time travel is with Dispel Magics to stop the Celestial Magic. All right, and notice when she returns, she has 19 life, and she still has her force field. So that's kind of a distinguishing cool thing about the time travel spells is when you go into limbo with the time travel, you keep all of your stats. When you transform into a bear, you lose all your buffs, although you do keep your remaining health. So that does stay consistent. So there's a slight difference there in how those two mechanics work. But yeah, there is time travel. So that's a pretty awesomely fun spell that you can do in Summoner's Fate now. I'm very excited about that. Our first kind of we got a few other time travel spells, but that one in particular is definitely very much feels like a affecting time and space on the board. So I'm excited about that. Okay. Let's see what else we got on the board here. I do have another time spell. It's kind of similar to that one we may go ahead and create next now that we know how to build one. So let's take a look here. The one I was thinking of was, of course, this Back to the Future, right? Not at all a subtle play on words. I absolutely love the Back to the Future movies. You can see here I've got our art's inspired by the DeLorean blasting to the past and everything. So we're just zapping this orc to the future. So in this case, we're using it a bit differently. Rather than being a defensive spell for the um, our own hero, we're using it as a. I should probably zoom in on that so you guys can read it. So what this does is remove target enemy from the board until the start of your next turn. So it sends one of your enemy's characters into the future, which is awesome. So they can't play that character or use it, giving you an advantage to then kind of meddle and do all kinds of cool things. We should probably limit that so that it's not just any enemy because we don't want to make it unbalanced. Maybe it only affects enemy minions but not the summoner. So we might tweak that. But let's go ahead and let's make a Back to the Future spell. So we got another time spell. I'm so excited about this. Yes. All right, let's do it. Okay, so let's go back to our spells. Okay, and I want to go to currently non-functional. There it is. Back to the Future. Okay, and we got a whole lot of nothing going on here. So what I'm going to do is, I know it's going to work very similar to the time travel, so I'm just going to go ahead and, to make it easier for myself, I'm going to put the word time in front of it so that it's got, I know that's a little bit weird, but I did that just so I have it next to this guy and then kind of go back and forth and copy stuff out that I want to use the same. So we're going to reuse a lot of the effects. It's going to be very similar in how it functions. So I'm going to start grabbing things I see in here. So these are just the VFX I'm copying over. I'm going to copy over the sound effect. Okay. Copy over the manipulation thing. At some point, yeah, I mentioned that with the whole VFX thing, I would love to have a thing where it like almost pushes the unit back. So when they go back to the future, it sort of like knocks them, just like in this picture. He's sort of going, ah, and then the flames spread up behind him, and then it just sort of, whoops with the clocks. Like, if I can get the VFX to look just like this art, I would be so happy. That would be amazing. But again, today we're focusing on functionality. Get the functionality working first, and then the fun icing on the cake stuff later. Okay, let's tick this functional box because I tend to forget to do that. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see here. Okay, so that all looks good. We're going to go ahead and copy this return to board nested effect by doing this. Copy that string, and then going back into here and adding it. So a few weeks ago, I demonstrated how I do these nested effects. This is a sort of a new innovation into tools, which is nice because it encapsulates all the definitions together into the card I'm working on, which minimizes the risk of having a global ability break and then break various other things. But I also have the capability to store abilities as globals as well. But you can see here, I'll paste in my notes. This is kind of what it looks like. Kind of amazing to think that this is what the actual programming code syntax looks like for that thing. But this is all basically a nested structure that defines all the different attributes that affect, including the targeting methods, the animations, the effects that it does, all that kind of stuff, the triggers. And it's using just kind of this nested bracketing system. So that's the actual footprint of this thing in terms of raw data, what it's doing. The editor, of course, translates all that into a readable format, which is nice. But all these numbers are nice because it condenses it very small. They all reference other tables and things in the code, and then the engine knows how to interpret those numbers to do meaningful things, which is awesome. All right, and let's see here. We've got return to board. Great. Let's save this. We're gonna probably have to go back and modify this slightly for this spell, but at least I've got that part done. Okay, then let's take a look at some of the other effects we got going on here. Meltros has joined. Hello, Meltros. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. We've got an exciting episode today here. I've entitled it Touch of the Divine. And it's kind of a cool thing. Last week when we made the Savage transformation, the Bear transformation spell, I discovered how I could use that to create some of the time spells. So I'm finally getting to make some of these cool time spells we've had on the list for a while, and it's kind of an easy win. And so I just demonstrated how the time travel spell works, and now we're going to make Back to the Future. It's not actually called Time Back. I just have it that because of this. But yes, so welcome. I hope you enjoy today's episode. All right. So I was just in the process of copying over some of the functionality of this time travel spell, since it works very similar to the Back to the Future spell. Okay, so let's see here. I know that we are going to need. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is the part here in time travel where we basically create the time portal that's going to send them back to the future. Now, in this case, we place it on the cast location. So we're going to do something similar here. I'm going to go ahead and recreate that effect. Okay, so we're going to do apply status effect custom nested 0 corresponds to return to board here. All right, but I don't want to place it on the cast location. I want to place this on the primary target location. So the person who we're transporting to the future, we're going to place it on their tile. I guess technically I could use it on the same thing for time travel as well, since technically self would have been the same location. They could probably even match. Maybe I should just make a match. Let's do that. Let's make this be primary target look. Now they're the same. So now they're even closer to each other. Okay, then place limbo on target. Let's do that. So here's our limbo effect that we created last week, and we're gonna place them in limbo. That's where they're gonna live while they're in the future. It's the indeterminate future. We don't need to know anything about that future. From a game design perspective, limbo is what the future is. It's a quantum. I'm trying to think of my Star Trek. What do they call that thing? A quantum. Singularity would not be the right term. Maybe it could be singularity, but quantum vacuum. There we go. They're in a quantum vacuum while they're in the future. Okay. All right. So now we got to create our targeting method. Who we can target this spell with. So in this case, we want to say visible would be a good one. It's an enemy, so let's start with that. Target subject, target, property, and then we want to say team is not equal to target subject, target, oh, sorry, no, ability user, property, team. Okay, good. That's the first condition. Okay, now I probably don't want to go ahead and send back to the future structures or objects. That'd be kind of weird to send a portal or something to the future. I mean, so I'm going to make sure that this is only going to target units. So we're going to say traits, and we're going to say type unit. So this will only target characters, not player place structures. Number, greater than or equal to 1. Okay, there we go. Target team, not equal to ability user team, target not equal to, great. All right, and the last thing I had mentioned when I was kind of talking about it was I feel that it's a bit too powerful if you could send someone summoner to the future, because that would just completely knock out their ability to cast spells or do anything. So we're going to make it so you can't cast on summoner. So we're going to say target subject, target, property, trait, and then the trait we use for that is, I think, is hero. Has to be less than or equal to 0. So we can't target summoners. Okay, great. Then we should probably remove. We're gonna say target. Remove enemy minion from the board until the start of your next turn. Perfect. Excellent. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so check our targeting methods. One target, unit, visible, enemy team. Has to be a unit, can't be a summoner. Perfect. So that all looks good. Okay, now I mentioned the last step we have to do is modify how this return to board works, because it's a little bit different than the other time spell. We can also get rid of this piece here now, so now it looks like it's labeled correctly. All right, let's go in here. Okay, so return on removing. Oh, you know what? Something that just occurred to me is that I need to pass in the ID of this character, how we did the other one. So apply status effect custom. Instead of saying 0, I need to say ability user property. No, not ability user property. Target property. Oh shoot, do I not have one for that? That's not good. That's going to be a problem. We need to have that. That seems odd that I have one for ability user property, but not one for target property. We do need that because we need a way to map this effect to the character that's being transported to the future. Otherwise, we won't know how to return them. And the way we did it with the other time spell was by property. But I'm looking at my list here, and I don't seem to have one for target property, which is odd. Interesting. Got trait, got these other things, but not that. Okay, well, that's going to be a bit of a problem. I think we could probably come up with another way to do this that would involve having not to change the code and may even work better than the last one. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this. I'm going to encode it with the particular action ID here. Let's do, think how I did this in the past. Okay, thinking how I do this. Okay, I'm going to have to go and look at another spell to see how I might have done this. The one I'm thinking of in particular is the wormhole. Wormhole is another one that uses IDs. Okay, looks like action ID is what I use. Okay, cool. We're going to use that instead. Let's go back to the future spell. I had been using unit ID, but in this case, I just need to have it have a unique identifier is the key thing. So if we use the action ID, that's perfect. All right, so now it'll have a unique number. And the action ID basically is when this spell is cast, it generates a unique action number. And in this case, that will be the what we use to track that character. All right, so that sounds good. Let's save that. All right, go to return to board. And so that'll store that in the time travel ID here. Okay, return on removing. Okay, so this, we don't want to set the trait to hero because they're not going to be a hero in this case. So let's remove that. We do want to return him to limbo, and we do want to return him to closest space. So this is all correct. That's good. Save that. Okay, remove on battle over. That is also, oh, that's interesting. Remove on battle over. If you send someone to the future, then beat them in the game. I actually don't know if this is necessary either. We could probably get rid of this. Because it would only be on enemy units. Let's get rid of this one. I don't think we need that. Let's get rid of that. And then remove on start turn. We do want this, but this has to be different. This is the one that has to change. We want them to return on the start of our turn. the caster, the one who casts the spell, not the person who's using the ability. So basically what you need to do is change this condition here. So the person who started turn activator ID is equal to, this says ability source player ID. We don't want that. We want the ability source units player ID. That's the difference, so that they return on our turn. Okay, and go back. Save that. Save that. Okay, so remove enemy minion from the board until the start of your next turn. Me, the caster's turn. Okay, and I feel like I've got like a... Okay, that's good. All right. I think we're good to go. We're ready to test the spell. I'm excited. Let's go send some monsters back to the future. Let's do it. Okay, back to my decks, my giant test deck. I'm just going to replace this one with the time travel spell. Back to the future. Here we go. All right, I'm going to remove some stuff here too, just so it's a little bit less crowded in there. Let's remove that. Let's remove force field. I'm going to keep them because I want to try something with that. Let's get rid of Secret Brush. Get rid of that. Get rid of Fire Elemental. Okay. And we can get rid of Fire Shield too. We're good with that. Okay, good. Okay, so let's begin. Go back to maps. Time to send some monsters to the future. All right, who are we going to send back here? Let's send this goblin over here. Let's help with this one in the middle with the spear. Get out of here! Oh, I forgot to add the proper icon to it, so we're going to have to go fix that too. And this also has the wrong description. Return Lee Pyromancer here. That's not correct. I'm going to go fix that. Let's go fix those things. Spells. Back to the Future. Okay, so this art is called Back to the Future, so let's go ahead and make sure we have that one be the same. Okay. Good. And the other thing I wanted to do was source name. Okay, so I am not sure what that's going to be here. I need to look this up because I'm not sure what the encoding is. I think it's going to be ability username, but I'm not entirely sure how I replace that. Give me a moment when my code boots up here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and copy that string and then we'll see how I did that. These are little encoders I put in there to replace it with the actual name of the character. So let's go ahead and change this. Okay, we're going to search here for that. And figure out where I change this code at. Oh goodness, why is it scanning 2,000 lines? That's not right. It's weird. Never had searched this many files before. Okay, but nonetheless, there it is. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, we have player name. Oh, wonderful. It doesn't look like we have a term for that, which is odd. Interesting. So we don't have one yet for that. We're going to have to make one. We need to have an ability username here so that we have the appropriate character returning. Okay. Not even like an affix target name. Okay, so we're going to have to create in order for that to say the proper name, we're going to have to create one, a new string splitter here. So what we're going to do is going to create a new thing here for private var affixed name string equals that. Okay. Okay, so status effect. Okay, then we're going to say here is that this dot, oops, affix name equals status effect affix target dot, and just to avoid whatever possible problem in the future this could be, if I just like to put these conditions in because otherwise it could create problems. If the affix target's not equal to null, great, there's a fixed name. Okay, then in here, what we're going to do is split. We're going to say affixed, so the person who's affixed name split with, and we're going to say affix name. There we go. Great. Oh, is that not what I called it? Oh, we called it a fixed name. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, so now we have to recompile this, and we're going to put that string in there. So let's go ahead and do that. So we just did a text filter. I wasn't expecting to do that today, but that was kind of a cool thing to see. So that's how we do text filter replacement. This little code here is really easy. Just finds that, replaces it with the thing we want. And so inside of here, we can now change this to a fixed name, and that'll show the character who's actually been sent to the past, which is what we want. Okay, I'm going to close this down now. Actually, first before I do that, I got to go back in here and save this. Okay, so let's make sure that was all correct. Back to the Future, yeah. Good. I don't know if this should be a buff. This should probably be a debuff. Let's put it as that. Not really sure what that should be, but all right, close this down. Okay, so now we're just booting up the program again. I'm also going to close this down just so we can save memory. Last time we had some issues with memory running out. All right, now let's go into our maps and let's test it again. Here we go. Remove this other characters in here. None and none. Let's just give them the orc. Let's turn this deck off too. Just making this a little easier for me to test. Start game. Okay. Meltros, I'm listening while I play Magic Arena. Ha ha ha. Very cool. Very cool. That is excellent. Magic the Gathering was, of course, a game that inspired Summoner's Fate. I played it since I was a kid, so I've got many, many years of Magic the Gathering in my belt, and just love that game. All right, so we're looking for our Back to the Future spell. Here it is. All right, so we're going to send this goblin here to the future. All right, so a couple things. It looks like it's still not showing the icon. It looks like the affixed name did not replace with the character's name like I wanted it to, so that's also a bug. We have to figure out why that's not working. Maltros, I have played on and off since childhood also. Excellent. Very cool. Curious, what edition did you start with? I believe my first edition was 4th edition. I had a complete 4th edition set, but I also had quite a few of the revised edition, 3rd edition cards as well. And then I think the first expansion that came out when I was playing was Ice Age. To give you an idea how far back it was. Maltros was revised. Okay, yeah, so we are right there together. Old school. Old school. Man, I swear if we had started just a couple years earlier, man, we could have had Black Lotuses right now and been making tons of money selling those on eBay. I actually had a lot of those dual lands, a lot of the revised dual lands. I think I had a complete set of them at one point. I think I sold them all. Um, yeah, I think those are worth like a couple $100 a piece now, those cards, if you get them at the comic shop. All right, so that's not working. All right, let's see if the other parts of our spell work, though. I'm not sure why it didn't show the icon art for the spell. That's a little bit strange. Although it did seem to show this, which is good. All right, so let's end turn and see if that goblin comes back from the future. Maltros says, I like the time spells. Maltros says, I know, my mother would have sold them. Yeah, I had a bunch of the revised duels, and an ex-girlfriend got me a Bayu as birthday gift once. It was maybe 20 bucks back then. Yeah, I know. Of course, back then 20 bucks was a lot because I think I was, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember 20 bucks for a single card be like, oh my god, no. And now they think that they're like 200. That's like everything scales as you get older, the cost. Okay, so did he return? I wasn't paying attention when I was reading that. Oh, hey, there's the icon. It just showed up. Okay. This is just how it goes. I feel like whenever you do this kind of work, you assume it's going to be easy because I've done it before, but clearly not. So that poor goblin was trapped in the time portal. He never respawned. He just didn't come back. It's probably got to do with how I was setting that effect. To be honest, I'm sure that's got to do with what it was. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and look at that again closely and see if we can figure out this. So there's three bugs there. One was the fact that it wasn't showing the correct. For some reason, it wasn't showing this icon. The affixed name's not replacing correctly. Oh man, so many bugs. All right, so three bugs to fix. Let's start with that affixed name because that's the easiest thing. It's very quantifiable. And why that icon didn't show up is also a great question. Although I have a theory as to that too. It's probably because of how I'm doing the target updates. I must not be doing status effects on target location or whatever. So we'll have to. We're gonna need to do some coding to fix this one. That's good. We're doing this though. Okay, so let's start with that keyword thing and see if we can figure that out. Okay, so and then I think we're gonna probably have to add that target property as well, or do something else to track the character's status here. Okay, so let's take a look here. Replace affixed name with join name. Oh, I see why this. Okay, well, it's obvious why this one didn't work because I have it in the name text, which is not the appropriate place. It should really be in the description, not the name. You need to say description equals description. Okay, so this is an easy one. Different field. Okay, that should fix the improper name not showing up. That's taken care of. Okay, now the other two are a little bit more complicated. So why this icon didn't show up has to do with how I handle animations and updates and stuff like that. So we're gonna have to look at the animation engine there, but it's that weird. We use the primary target loc as a location, so it's not storing it as a diff, and therefore it's not knowing to update it. I may have to look at action. This will be a little bit more confusing. And we have another spell called animate spell, which handles all this crazy stuff. Okay, let's take a look. So it's where we create the diffs. Search for that function. Create target diffs. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. I can you see the problem right here. This is hilarious. Yeah. So a little bit about how the animation system works. Because Summoner's Fate is totally decoupled, it has a MVC system where the model, all the data, the game logic happens separate from the animations. But in order to have the animations happen in the proper sequence, we have to store little packages called diffs that tell it that something's changed from one form to another. And then the animation system detects all those, and then of course updates the game board state to reflect what's happened in the game. Well, the reason we're not seeing that status effect appear is because I'm not actually storing a diff for that particular target type. And over the course of time, I've gone and added those things. Hey, Safety Seth plays. Ross! Hello! Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, if I remember correctly, that is Jimmy, correct? Is that the right person I've got? We're the ones that met at PAX PAX East in Boston. few months ago, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to get a sense of remembering everybody, but I may be wrong. But yes, I was right. Excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's amazing how I got Jimmy out of Safety Seth Plays, but I've got it down. All right, I'm impressed. Welcome. Ready to make my move to New York? Jimmy is moving to New York tomorrow. That's exciting. Well, congrats, man. That's awesome. Good for you. I hope you have a successful move and successful trip. Just finished loading the storage trailer. Excellent. Excellent. Well, we are making some time travel spells today, my friend. I had just we had some interesting learnings last week making the bear transformation spell. We're reusing those mechanics to make time travel. And so over here I've got we just sent this goblin to the future. But we had some bugs and the poor goblin never came back. He got just lost in time, I guess you could say. So I'm attempting to fix those bugs right now so we can get it working. Ooh, I love some modifier spells. Yeah, these are pretty unique spells. We got this one here. This one sends your hero to the future, which is great because while you're traveling to the future, the opponent can't do anything to you. And then this one over here that we just cast was the Back to the Future spell. That's the one that sends an enemy to the future, so you can deal with them later. It's kind of a nice removal spell. All right. So I was mentioning that in order to get this working, I need to add a diff for this. So we had one for diff for caster location, diff for unit on cast location, diff for unit on primary target location. We need to add one for add diff for primary target location. Does seem odd that it didn't. Yeah, okay, no worries. We're gonna fix this. Okay. So let me take a look at how I did these things here. We have a primary target here. Okay. So what we need to do here is target diff equals HM. Oh, okay. I should probably do this. Primary loc unit, primary target. Let's start with this. Primary target not equal to null. Primary target loc HM grid object equals HM global dot grid dot get space primary target dot gx primary target dot gy. Okay, so what we're going to basically do here is say if we have a primary target defined, we know there's a location, make it match the primary target's location. Okay, and then if we have a primary target loc, let's say not equal to null, then target diff equals hm target diff factory, create target diff, and we're going to just pass in the primary target loc, and ability user goes in here. Okay, if target diff not equal to null, other diffs push target diff. Okay, so that should fix the other issue we were having. All right, so let's go ahead and republish this, and I think we'll have those two issues fixed. And then we just need to figure out how to get the character actually returning back from the future. That's the most important of the issues. But we fixed the easy ones first. So let's go ahead and publish this and see if we got those two working at least. So, yeah, exciting stuff. Okay, this working. I have a good feeling about today. I think we're gonna get a good number of cards done. This is our agenda here, by the way. So we've got the time travel spells. I'm gonna attempt once again to create login errors cat of 9. We got some other cool celestial characters here. I've also got this Hydra. I feel like we could bang out this Hydra pretty quick. I've got all those mechanics already in place. Just got to create this trigger for when he gets injured. So maybe we'll make the Hydra next once we get these working, because I feel like that'd be a quick grab. All right, this is ready to restart. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Of course, while I'm waiting, I'm already debugging in my head why that last issue is not working. I have a pretty good feeling as to why he's not returning from the future. But let's see if we at least got those other 2 issues fixed. Okay, so now Back to the Future. Hey, all right. So the icon's showing up, and oh, that's no good. Return 4-6 here on their next turn. Okay, so we didn't quite fix that. Yes, that's true. The affix target is in fact the space, so that is working correctly, but it's not what we want. So what we actually need to say here is we need to make another one for description equals description dot split. I should probably say something like ability user. Okay. Join ability user name. Actually, that's not going to be right either. Now that I think about it, ability user would also be the space. Ah, that's going to be tricky. How do I get to actually say the character's name? This darn it. I thought this could be easy. Oh man. So let's see. Yeah, the character doesn't actually have the status effect placed on it, so this is going to be an interesting one. I'm not quite sure how to do this. Because we're actually placing the status effect on the space, and the space is handling the return of that target. The way that it's getting the character to return back is based on that ID. Oh man. Okay, I've got a wild idea for how to do it, but it's gonna be very strange. We have something like I need to have something like the unit's ID, unit with ID. We're gonna have to like just get the name that way. It's coming to me, thinking. So, all right, let's table this one because it kind of relates to the other problem we have with why the spell is not working. I'm gonna leave this alone for now. We'll come back to that. So why is the character not returning from the future? Well, it's because go back to spells, Back to the Future. It's because of this. So we are setting, we chose, we didn't have a way to set the unit ID, so we chose to use the action ID of the spell. But I'm pretty sure when we go to our conditioning for return on removing, that we do target ID, all right? And that does not match this ID here, obviously. So that's why this doesn't work. Okay. So what I was thinking was we could store. We're going to have to either create a method to store the ID, or we're going to have to change this condition to be something else to make it so that this character works. I'm debating which one of those two is the best option. So if I store it as the event action ID, and we use it as the time travel ID, I kind of like that idea. But then we need a way to store that on the character as well. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Either one of those works. All right, maybe we just do this target ID for now. All right, let me think about how to change this here. So if I do target ID, so the issue here was we did not have target property. Okay, so what we can do here is do this. Set trait dynamic. Save that. Hang on a second. I'm going to go back. I'm going to call this thing Time Traveler ID. Okay. We got to call it something different, though. We're going to call it Time Travel ID. Okay, and this is going to be equal to action ID on target. Okay, so we need to have a way that these two IDs match. So We're going to set the time traveler ID to the action ID, and then we're going to set the time travel ID to the same thing. And then in the condition here, what we're going to do is go into this return I'm removing here, and where it says target ID, we're going to change this to traits dynamic target subject time travel ID is equal to time traveler ID. Now it should return to the board. Let's go ahead and test that out. Wow, that was some crazy fast debugging there. Okay, let's see if that works. And if that does work, I have a thought on how we can make it so that that description works too, and then get the spell completely working. Okay. Back to the Future Goblin. Dun, dun, dun. There he goes. Okay, so we know that this is bugged, but we're going to fix that. The question is, will he return at the start of my next turn? That's what we want to see happen. He needs to come back from the future. He's been sent to my future turn, so we should see him arrive on my turn. Okay, and yes! He arrived in the future. Okay, this is the future. My turn is the future from that point, and he has traveled there. It worked. He's back in the future. All right, cool. So that's exciting. Meltrust says woot. Yes, woot indeed. Woot indeed. Okay. Now we got that figured out. Okay, so I've got a wild idea for how to do this now. Oh, I'm trying to think if that my original plan is going to work with the solution I just did though, or if it's not. What would Maltras? What would happen if a bush was created there or something like that? Ah, yeah, great question, Maltras. So let's go ahead and try that out. Let's put a bush there. Oop, gotta go back. All right, let's go ahead and put a bush there. Bush. Okay, so I think that yeah, you can see the stat spec still there. Bush is there. All right, yeah, good old edge case. Good edge case thinking there, Maltras. I like that. All right, let's see if I anticipated appropriately for that. Here go all the goblins. So he can't return on that space because there's a bush there. So what's going to happen to him? Ah! What? Well, there goes my experiment. For some reason, the orc chieftain decided to go smash the bush so he could respawn there anyway. So that, okay, I'm gonna have to redo that test. Sorry about that. I guess the AI is like, I must let him return to the future. Why? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna make it so that he can't do that. I'm just gonna move this guy out of the way so he can't go over there. All right, now let's try that again. Way to mess with my edge case test, Dork Slayer. Oh dear. Okay, so here come all the goblins. All right, he's done his turn. Okay. Okay. And boom. All right, so you see what happened there? He did return to the future, but because the bush was there, he returned next to it. So what I had done here was I anticipated that may be an issue. So I created an algorithm so it doesn't necessarily return him on that exact space. What it will do is attempt to return him to the closest empty space. So if the space is occupied, he'll return somewhere else. If this entire block is occupied, he'll return to whatever closed space is occupied. If for some reason the entire board is filled with stuff, then he's trapped. I can't do anything about that. Will it be random where he returns to? No, it's not random. He'll return to the closest space according to the algorithm. So, yeah, and I don't exactly know how the algorithm ticks. It closest is probably here, then here, then here, then here, then kind of in a circle. I'm not sure which pattern it makes, but it will be consistent every time. So no randomness there. Okay. All right. So the last part we had to figure out is how to get this description to say the right thing because this looks a little weird. Yeah, I'd like to tell you what thing it is that's returning. So we need to have a way to look up that unit. So we have to, the unit that's being stored is actually in limbo. So we've got to have to store that name get the name from the unit in limbo. We've got the ID connecting us to it. So we have to say something like, that's going to be really confusing. All right, let's go ahead and dive in here. Let's say we're going to create a new one here called Time Traveler. It's going to be kind of weird. Time Traveler name. Okay. This is a bit strange. I feel a little weird doing it this way, but hey, why not? String equals, okay. Okay. So we want to get the time traveler's name. So what we're going to have to do is make kind of a special edge case for this. If status effect dot, you know what, let's just do it like this. Var time traveler ID int equals status effect dot get attribute value. We want time traveler ID. Okay, good. If time traveler ID is not equal to 0, and this is where it gets a little weird, we have to now find him. So to say var limbo units array equals hm global dot units in limbo for var I int equals 0, I is less than limbo units dot length I plus plus. Okay. Great object. So we're going to search for that character in the limbo units thing, and then if limbo unit dot get attribute value time travel ID is equal to time travel ID. Then we're going to say time traveler name equals limbo unit dot name break. Okay, so this is why I said this is a little bit weird. We kind of have to hard code in special case for Back to the Future spell. I don't really have a better way to do this per se, but what we do here is I'm going to put a special case on. The status effect is storing the time traveler ID, and we know that they're in limbo. So what we're going to do is search for that character in limbo, and then grab their name, and then we're going to replace the time traveler name with this new keyword called time traveler. So let's see if this works here. I think that'll do the trick. It's a little bit strange, but it should do the job for us. So let's go ahead and publish that. And if we get that working, we'll have Back to the Future fully working, aside from the awesome VFX that I will eventually be including. Like I said, we're going to go back to this thing. I really want to see the VFX, the sound effects, like maybe a little stinger in there, something like that, like really cool. But I want to have the character get pushed back, clocks flying up, and flame coming out of the ground when that spell happens for the final version. Yeah, we'll be looking at that once we build our VFX tool at some point in the future. That's gonna be pretty awesome though. Okay, so that should be compiled, and we're gonna go ahead and restart this and punch in that new keyword and see if it works. So spells, Back to the Future, go into here, edit. So what we actually wanted here, instead of a fixed name, is going to be called Time Traveler. And save again. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay. Okay, Back to the Future. Yeah, it worked. Return Goblin Warrior here on their next turn. Okay, great. That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. So, and we know that that spell works already, so we're good there. Let's burn these goblins down. Oh, I'll show you guys a cool thing. This is one of the VFX that I kind of played around with. We were doing that Week of Fire VFX, and I did a little more refinement because I had some issues with the timing of that, but now I can just obliterate an entire forest with the spell. Ah! Meteor shower is a lot more fun now, needless to say. All right, let's just verify one more time that this spell is working as expected. And he returned from the future. That's what we wanted. That's awesome. I'm also going to test to see if Dispel Magic works. So if the opponent had a Dispel Magic, they could, of course, free their unit and bring them back to the present, back from the future, the further future. I love time travel. It's like one of the coolest mind-bending concepts to be able to think in that kind of fourth dimensional mindset and cause and effect and all that. I love that stuff. So excited to bring it to the game. But yeah, so these are just kind of a really simple way of introducing a very. This actually is a real time travel mechanic, as it's actually sending them to the future when you think about how the philosophy of the card works. The really cool ones are going to be the ones where we go back to the past. That's going to be a lot harder. Going to the future is easy. Going to the past is a little bit trickier. So those spells are going to be even wackier. We're gonna save those for another time though, because those are going to be a whole new can of worms. All right, but not bad. 2 time spells done today so far, and we've still got about an hour left in the stream. I am feeling pretty good right now. That was a pretty good start so far of the day. Okay, so I mentioned that this Hydra would be next because he's kind of an easy win. So let's go ahead and crank him out. And of course, with this guy, I've got all kind. Mostly with that guy, I think I've got just a lot of balance questions. I've kind of known what I wanted to do with him, and the feedback I've gotten on the Discord about him has been pretty consistent with what his intended design was. So let's go take a look. Do I even have him programmed already? Maybe I do. Oh no, I don't have him programmed yet. Okay, what we've got so far is we've got Vigil. All right, that makes sense because he's just got a ton of heads, so he's just always going to attack you no matter what. No limit to his counterattacks. Hydras are vulnerable to fire. If you read the Greek mythology, and I'm trying to remember if it was Hercules or um, the other character that has the sins that has to go back and kill him. Does anyone remember who it was that kills the Hydra? It's one of the Greek heroes. I used to love that though. So the slaying goes when you fight him with the sword and cut off his head, just 2 more grow back. And Avengers, of course, makes fun of that. Cut off 1 head, 2 grow back in its place. Right? So that's kind of the idea here, is that when he gets injured, he gets 2 heads back, +2/+2. But he's vulnerable to fire. That's how they killed him in the Greek mythology. So we're kind of making him true to the mythology, which I love. All right, so vulnerable to fire is an existing effect, so that's built in already. I may even amped it up more. Maybe more vulnerable to fire. I don't know. Vulnerable to fire 3 is not bad, but we could probably do more because he'd still get. Oh, and he should not get. He shouldn't get +2/+2 when he's injured by fire either. So we'll make sure that's put in there. Okay, so we're going to create a new triggered ability. When he takes damage, he gets buffed. So let's go ahead and do that. I love this because before we used to have to go back and forth in the panels to add the abilities, but now I can just create an entirely new nested ability. In fact, the global triggered abilities table no longer exists. I didn't have a need for it because everything will be embedded now, nested. So we're going to go ahead and create this triggered ability. And we want trigger event. It's going to be when he takes damage. And we want to target the ability user, so that's easy enough. Okay, buff on damage. There we go. That's what's going to happen. We're going to save that. Okay, so first off, we need to set a condition here for trigger subject. Okay, the event activator is going to need to be equal to. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's the damager. We need event target. Target is the target that was damaged is equal to the ability user. Okay, good. And then we also want to say he won't get bigger if he gets burned by fire. It has to be getting hacked at with stuff. So we're gonna do Maybe I should even specify it has to be a melee attack. That might be an even interesting way to do it. Maybe it should be melee. I don't know. It's fine. We're just gonna make sure it's not fire for now. Spell. Okay, we want trigger subject, event action, and we're gonna say the traits type damage fire is less than or equal to 0. So it won't trigger if it's fire damage. It has to be any other kind of damage with fire. And we're going to give him apply stat effect plus X. Great. Save. I think that's all we need to do. That was pretty easy. Okay, save. And then, of course, we leave it as blank here. So we're going to do gain subtype. Is that how I'm going to store it, though? Oh, I guess I can't do subtype. I have to put that in his actual ability. Let's do that. Let's copy that in here. Edit. Description. Okay, save. Good. Okay, so right now it's +1/+1. We're going to bump that up to 2. Save. Okay. Cool. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, well, let's go test him out, shall we? That's awesome. All right. Hydra. He is cool. This is an armature I actually created a lot of the animations for. I made this initial snaky head here following a little animation tutorial online, and I stuck a bunch of snake heads on there, and it creates it, and it just uses Peter's existing quadra head armature. And then he made some attack animations for me. So there's this ridiculous, like, rapid fire attack. Okay. Blah. I kind of feel like I want him to do that when he gets bigger. Did I change this to cast yet? Let's see if I can do that. Let's see. His cast. Let's do that. Okay, let's go test out the Hydra. Maps. Maps. Grassy path. Alright, let's swap that dragon with the Hydra. Quad. Hydra. Okay, so there he is. Now we don't want to just kill things, we want to see him get injured. Okay, so there was a problem with that. It looks like he only got +1/+1 instead of having +2/+2. I'm not sure why that happened. That's interesting. He's also not playing the full animation, which is kind of a weird timing issue there. There he did it though, it's because he had to go attack right away. That's why. So why is he not getting +2/+2 is a question. I am curious about that. That should be working down. Maybe I didn't save it. Let's take a look at his card. No, it says +2/+2. So there's something wrong with that algorithm there. I'm not sure why that's happening. A little bit upset about that. It's interesting. Support heal 3, nested 0. Oh, that's right. I was messing with that guy. I gotta go back and I'm gonna change him too because I want to see if there's a correlation with something in the if it's a bug with a nest editor or what's going on here. Um, High Elf Wizard. Apply. Okay, +1 +0 until their next turn. Let's give this guy a, let's see if there's just a universal problem going on or what. Okay, so we're going to check out that guy. Okay, so that worked correctly, but for some reason the Hydra did not take... Yeah, that's very strange. Alright, we're going to look at that Hydra again. Something's weird about that, because the other character worked with that amplitude there. So why didn't he work? You know what, it's maybe because I didn't put a value in here. That's probably what it is. Let's put 1. There we go. That should probably take care of it. Save. Okay. There we go. Okay, now he's working. Okay, cool. So here's one thing you don't want to do when you're fighting a Hydra is surround him with goblins and do this. Everybody attack him! Because with that Vigil ability, you can see he's going to make a counterattack on everybody. And so by the end of that assault, the Hydra is now a massive 916. That was just 3 goblins. Get another one in there. And he's bigger, 1117. He just keeps growing. Bigger Hydra. Bigger Hydra. Oh, he could get out of power, out of tune real quick. That's for sure. Okay, so the question I have though, for anyone watching here, if you care to share your input, there are 2 ways I could have balanced the Hydra. The one option is if we want to make him a Guardian, we reduce his cost to 4. He could become a starting unit, but then obviously his powers need to be tuned appropriately. Or we have him as kind of like an epic 5 cast, which is kind of where I like to have him at. And then if that's the case, are his powers powerful enough for a 5 cast? And the reason I ask that is because I imagine for a 5 cast it'll be somewhat later in the game you might expect to see him, unless you're using some kind of mana boosting spell. And he's not initially very powerful at 313. I mean, he's pretty resilient, but he does have that weakness. So does he seem like epic enough for a 5 cast is really what I'm asking. Because what I want to make sure we're doing here is making it feel like you're getting your buck's worth for the out of the spell for 5 mana. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily enough. I mean, it feels pretty safe as a starting point. Like 2+2+2 is not too bad. Um, I'm not sure how this scales depending upon what's fighting it with. I haven't really gone through my head yet. Maltras says, I mean, that 2/2 is pretty good. Yeah, +2/+2 is pretty good. Um, will he live long enough or take enough damage? I mean, my hope is kind of like with the Vigil, he would be really effective with it. I mean, one other thing we could do to him to make him really, really effective would be to give him Taunt. If the Hydra had Taunt, then you could also use him to pin characters, and then you're basically forcing the opponent to pin them and attack you, and then make your Hydra stronger. Come to think of it, that might be an even more fun way to do it. Maybe give him Taunt. That'd be yeah, actually that might make him pretty epic then, because then he would be sort of just like resilient, but then he gets bigger and bigger, and now you've got like a problem to deal with. He's sort of, ooh, that's an interesting call there. So we could give him a taunt if you want to make him really epic. I feel like that would really cinch him as a pretty powerful character, because now you're stuck pinned against him. What do you guys think about that? Maybe I could reduce his life a little bit so he starts off a little smaller than for being a taunt unit, because he's going to get more life each time he attacks. Kind of think I might like that idea. What do you guys think about that idea? Make him a taunt character. Sort of thinking on the fly here. Hadn't occurred to me before when I was thinking about him, but now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of like the idea of another taunt character, and I think he would be just great with that. Vigilant taunt is awesome. Maltras, I guess it's something you can always change later if it's too much. That's true. All right, so let's see what taunt. Let's give him taunt. I don't like that it has to create another line of things though. Oh, let's move this up like that. There we go. That or give him some sort of regen. Well, he has a regen. The regen he has is he's going to gain +2/+2. So every time he gets hurt, he's going to gain back 2 health. So that'll help keep him alive. Does anything heal every turn yet? We have a regeneration spell that will heal every turn. And I have another character I was working on. I have a troll character I was thinking about giving the regeneration to natively. I can show you that character. He was one I had actually on my to-do list. I'll show you that guy. Maybe we can get your thoughts on him too. Oh, what was he called? Blue Troll. The Blue Troll. I wasn't sure if I want to call him a Blue Troll or a Blue Imp, but he's kind of like this like gobbly looking troll. So he's got kind of a similar thing. He's got regeneration 4, which means he's really hard to kill, but he's also vulnerable to fire 4. So if you blast him with a fireball, it just destroys him. So he's kind of a fun character. That's the Blue Troll. All right, so let's go back to that Hydra again. Let's see if I can figure out how to get him looking a little bit nicer. Show. Okay. Yeah, the only thing I just don't like how this like carries over the other line. I'm being nitpicky here. I'm like worrying about the text and how it looks, but I really wish this would drop to a second line. I need to figure out a way to make it so I can do that kind of stuff. I know what we're gonna do. I'm gonna fix it right now. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go edit this. I'm just gonna put a line break in there. I'm gonna call this line break. Because I don't like how that looks. It looks stupid. Get rid of that. Let's see if this actually works. That would be awesome. It did. Oh, but it puts a comma there. That's annoying because it's assuming there's an ability there. I thought I could trick it out. That's funny. Dun, 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 dun. Vigil, Taunt, Vulnerable Fire 3, gain +2/+2 when injured. All right. And let's also fix this. There we go. All right. Vigil, Taunt, Vulnerable Fire 3, gain +2/+2 when injured. Okay, cool. Oh, I know how to fix this. Let's do this. Get this. Get. Copy this. Okay. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to create an ability over here. Okay. Buff on damage. Okay. Gain +1/+1 when injured. Okay, and I'll go back. Get rid of that. There we go. I cleaned him up a bit. That looks a little bit nicer there. Vigil Taunt, gain +3/+3 when injured, and Vulnerable Fire 3. Now it looks a little nicer. Okay. All right, so now I'm concerned that he's a little too much life. I gotta knock that down to something a little smaller because he's gonna grow, so we don't want him too overpowered. I'm thinking 10 or 11. Um, let's knock him down to 11. Save that. Okay, 311 Hydra. Gain 3/3 when injured. Oh, not 3/3. We want this to be 2. Save. Okay, gain +2/+2 when injured. Vulnerable to fire 3. Another fun thing to do, we can make him really small to start off and just make him grow obscenely large. Make him grow bigger each turn. Trying to see if I'm just trying to get in my head if this feels right. I'm trying to think of how the use cases. Let's keep him here. I think this feels pretty good, and then we can kind of listen to the feedback if he's a little too strong or not strong enough. But that taunt is going to be a pretty major addition to him to make him like a wrecking ball of awesome. Vigilant taunt, man, that is a amazing combination of awesome ability there. So now we should see the taunt aura on him. We do, good. So now these goblins have to attack him. Let's see what happens. They don't want to attack him. They don't want to attack him. That's funny. I need to make the AI a little bit more like decisive. Right now, the AI is like weighing the pros and cons and basically saying like, if I attack the Hydra, I'm gonna just get slaughtered by it, and the Hydra's gonna get bigger, so I won't attack it. Probably smart, but it's not the most fun player experience, so I may have to change that. I mean, I guess I as a player would probably not attack the Hydra either, because it would just be a death sentence. Bigger Hydra. Nice. Okay, cool. Wow, so he's already at 914. Yeah, he grows pretty fast. That's pretty powerful. That's gonna be hard to pretty hard to get rid of him. That's for sure. But if he had fire though, maybe I should make his vulnerability to fire a little bit more extreme. See, that didn't even kill him. I feel like with that kind of strength, we should give him a little bit more of a vulnerability. I love the idea of having a really strong, like powerful unit, but then having like a really big, outstanding weakness is cool. Oh, he took damage from he got damage back from that fire. He wasn't supposed to get life back when he took fire damage, so that's not good. Interesting. How did he get life back from that? He wasn't supposed to get. Let's just double check that. He actually gets stronger walking through the fire. That's not supposed to be happening. Okay, let's go back and take a look at that. Um, Units Quad Hydra. Okay, Mr. Hydra, let's take a look at your thing again. You've got buff on damage. Edit. If action dot event action. Oh, hang on a second. Maybe it's not this. Event action is no, the action that triggered the event. If damage type fire is less than or equal to 0. Huh, that's interesting. That should have prevented that from triggering. Why did it not work? Event action dot damage fire is less than or equal to 0. Huh, that's strange. Let's try another fire spell and see. At the same time, I'm going to also increase his weakness to fire. Let's make him really weak to fire. Let's make him vulnerable to fire 5. May still not be enough, I don't know. Okay. Yep, okay. Maps. Let's test this again. See what's going on here. Start game. Okay, let's see if a fireball heals him. Oh, that just outright killed him, so we didn't get a chance to see if that actually worked. Here, let's try this. No, he's still getting, he's definitely still growing from getting hit by fire, because I took 2 fire damage there, so I'm not sure why it's disregarding that trait of the fire spell. That's weird. I have something clearly as programmed wrong with that, because he should not be growing from fire. Okay, so why is that allowing that to trigger? Interesting. Let's go take a look at Lead Pyromancer and see. So Firebolt. Okay. Damage type fire. There it is right there. So what's going on here with the Hydra? Why is that? It's something simple I'm missing here. Edit. Okay. Action damage type fire is less than or equal to 0. So what the heck? Why is it? Oh my goodness, I think I know the problem. And this is the case, this is very interesting. Let's take a look at, I believe it has to do with the clone actions. Clone, oops, not this, we want to look at clone. This could be a client bug, which is good we're finding this stuff now. Yeah, that's the issue. When it clones the action, it's not copying over the attributes, as far as I can tell. No, but then again, it should though, because it clone should be creating a new. All right, let's take a look and see where I'm using this clone at. I'm just clone.def. Has the same def, but it doesn't actually ever create the defs for it. This is interesting. Create attributes here. Okay. So it should have applied its attributes there. That's definitely very weird. Hmm. Intriguing. I am perplexed about this one. That should work. Trigger subject, event action, traits, damage type fire is less than or equal to 0. That should be doing it. Oh, wait, no. Nope, still not figuring it out. I'm like, trying to think of all the possibilities for why he's still taking damage on fire, and that should not be happening. That is problematic. Definitely something wrong with that. Okay, let me think. I need to get a trace statement in here of some kind to look at that to see why that's happening. So we can actually see what that value is getting stored as. I'm assuming it's coming up as 0 because it's passing it, obviously. The question is, why is that not getting set? That's very weird. Because here the clone, when it activates, it creates the attributes. Goes through all the defs. Oh, interesting, attribute defs. Where does it store this? Ah, wait a second. Hold on a second here. This could be an issue. Let's take a look at that. Oh, look at that. Assign card. Okay. Oh, no, here it is. This attribute defs equals attribute defs. Okay, so there, that. I'm at a loss. I'm trying to figure out where it's missing the connection to the fire trait at, and that doesn't seem to be it either. This seems weird. Let's look at this later. I don't like bugs like this where I'm kind of at a loss. It sucks. Damage type fire, less than or equal to 0. I'm trying to think of the test case. Now we're getting to throw an error at this point so I can actually see it. Okay, I know what we're going to do. Trigger event handler. Okay. All right, here's what we're going to do. Trigger event. Trigger conditions. Okay, here we go. If event dot type is equal to, actually we even just say, what's this, what do we call that thing? Buff on damage. If label is buff on damage, we're going to do that. All right, I'm going to throw an error here. That way we can kind of look at the where are we storing this def at? Okay. All right, let's debug this and see if we can figure out what's happening here. Something is clearly wrong. So we're going to go ahead and see what we can find out. I will beat this. I will get past this challenge. Because I think next, while we're waiting for that, what do we want to do next here? I've got login errors cat of 9 queued up here. I've also got Samurai, which I know Maltros has been wanting. Is Maltros still here? Do you guys want to take a vote? I'm going to do it based on attendance. What do you guys want to see next after we finish the Hydra? We've got him almost done, but here's our potential cards. So let me know. We got Samurai, Cat of 9, the unusual size we didn't finish last week, and then Legatus Isabel, who's great if you want to make a soldier's deck. Maltros, any preference since you're here? I know you've been wanting the Samurai for a while, so we could potentially throw him in there. I basically got to just build a special fix in for his honorable ability. That's what's been holding him up. Okay. Dealer's choice. Oh wow, he's just leaving it open. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what we got time for at the end here. I'm gonna start up game. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna attempt to do here is I want to see the bug occur, and we're gonna see if we can figure out why it's triggering the ability. So clearly it triggered it. Here's the bug. Okay. So now let's take a look and see what we got going on. Event action ID. Okay. Of course, I can't see the action in there. I should have probably done something better to see that. I can't look up the action to see what its stats are. Dang it. All right, we're going to do this again. Var action. Okay, now we're going to look at that. Okay, let's try that again. because I want to poke into that action and see what it's actual, if it's even storing the fire stat. Like we're going to take a look, and that'll help me figure out give me some sense of what my problem is here with the Hydra's last piece. We definitely do not want him growing on fire, otherwise he's going to be too strong. Okay, maps. Okay, here we go. And start game. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we got here as far as a bug goes. We triggered it once again, and now this time I should be able to poke into the action and see. All right, cool. Event action. So we got the name of this action was, where's the name? Vulnerable on damage. Oh, aha! We figured out why. That's that. Okay, so that's good. All right. So it was his vulnerability to damage that was triggering his. Okay, that's an easy fix. All right, now that's why it's great to do these debugging things. Once you see things like this, you're like, ah, now I know what the problem is. Great. Okay, good. Let's get rid of those two things. So it wasn't the fire that was causing the problem. That was actually working correct. I did do that right. It's his vulnerability. When he takes the extra damage from fire, that's what's causing new heads to grow. So we need to filter out that condition. That's what the problem was. Okay. Crazy, crazy, crazy. This should be a pretty easy fix. Okay. All right, so go back to units, quad hydra. All right, so now that makes sense. All right, vulnerable to fire. All right, vulnerable. Nested extra damage on fire. I need to go look at that status for vulnerability. This clearly inflicts a certain type of damage, and I don't want it to. Here we go. Vulnerable damage. Okay. Units. Quad hydra. Okay, here we go. So we just need another condition for event action. And we want to say traits dynamic. Vulnerable damage is less than or equal to number 0. There we go. Oh, we don't want that. We want event action. Excellent. Okay. Save that. All right, that should stop the Hydra from growing on fire damage. All right. I'm excited. That guy's he's gonna be a pretty interesting character, the Hydra. Getting bigger each turn like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it out. If we burn him. Cool. So he did not grow from fire. He's definitely vulnerable to fire. Maltros, okay, I need to get ready and go to my son's award ceremony at school. See you later, Ross. All right, Maltros, thanks for joining us today here. Appreciate your support as always, my friend. Cool. All right, so we got the Hydra all fixed up. Excellent. So he's no longer getting buffs from fire, which is what we wanted to see. Ah, Hydra. So cool. All right, so there's a little bit of weirdness with his animations, but again, those are things we'll take care of later. Really, it's about getting him working, and he's definitely doing his power, which is cool. Cool. Ah, Clever Name's here. Good morning. All right. We've been waiting for you. All right, so we actually had, it was funny. I had Maltros here earlier, and I was going to make the samurai for him, and Maltros had to go, and he said dealer's choice. But I'm assuming that Loganair would love to see Cat of Nine take two attempt. We failed miserably last time we tried to make it because of the recursion, but today we're going to try and do it again. Clever Name says, I love the Hydra's multi-nom animation. Oh, thank you so much. That is courtesy of our friend Peter. With a little bit of engineering work to get that to all fire in sequence like that. I had to make a special trigger to get all the heads to do that delayed firing like that. Multi-nom. Yeah. Num 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 num. Kind of sounds like a machine gun going off, like rifling through those guys. Yeah, Hydra's going to be a fun character. We just finished getting him working. There's a little bit of a bug with him, but true to the Greek mythology, he is the more you slash at him, the bigger he gets. Grows pretty quick. We decided to give him the taunt to make him extra nasty, so you can just throw him in a pile of guys and they're just forced to attack him, which is great, and he gets bigger and bigger. But like the one in Greek mythology, he is vulnerable to fire. So I made him, he takes 5 extra damage because he hits by any kind of fire, which makes him very vulnerable indeed to fire. Ah! So there we go. He's done. All right, that's another character done. So we've got 2 time travel spells complete today. Very, yeah. He says, Clever says, and vulnerable to fire. Very on brand. Yes. Okay. Time travel's done. Back to the Future's done. We just finished Hydra. We finished Savage from last week. We're gonna attempt the Cat of Nine. We got a half hour left. Let's do this. I'm feeling it. Okay. So before, the reason we failed at Cat of Nine was that I had tried to just actually recreate the unit. And when you have a def nested within a def, it just creates an infinite recursion. So that clearly doesn't work. But what I've been thinking about is that rather than try to recreate the unit, we're going to revive it. And that will hopefully work. Hydra Classic TM says Clever Name. I love his puns. He's always a pleasure to have on the stream. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got so far going on here. So downfall, summon this unit by your summoner until it's been defeated 9 times. Okay. So it looks like I've got the right trigger in place. Yeah, this I forgot. There's all kinds of weird edge cases with the Cat of Nine we're gonna need to work out here. This is gonna be very amusing here. Okay. So what my thoughts had been were we would kind of make it work maybe similar to how the Your Soul is Mine works, where it just comes back and revives. So if the cat is revived instead of recreated, does that mean it keeps its buffs between lives? No, it will not keep its buffs because the buffs are removed on defeat. All status effects are pretty. That could be pretty awesome. True. Um, there could be a way to make it that way as well, but I think we're gonna probably just have them come back free of buffs. Like this, the standard revive works. It cleanses the buffs. So I'm gonna go look at the spell Your Soul is Mine to figure out how we got that guy working, because that's gonna be kind of a key to figure out how to get the cat working. All right, so Soul is Mine applies a status effect, and here's what it does. When something's dead, it revives. So it says, when it's removed from play, revive on target. And then set the activation used to 0 on target. 9 lives for 3 men is already pretty great. That's true, it is. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to get, let's see here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and steal this power. This is one of the cool things about the new thing. I can just copy stuff and then reuse it. It's technically 9/9, but just spread a bit then. That's true. Okay, so let's go back into the Cat of Nine now. Grab another quad Cat of Nine. Okay. Okay. Oh, have this trigger ability, huh? Okay. So I copied the revive ability from the Your Soul is Mine. All right. All right, so this says ability user. Okay, we said we want to revive the cat next to the summoner. I'm not sure how we revive it when the cat is a summoner. That's going to be an interesting thing. It's going to be, because we have the edge case. I remember the weird thing about this was the edge case of when you use transfer consciousness on the cat. That's going to be what's really weird about it. Let's try and get the cat working first, and then we'll worry about that. Okay. I also think we're going to want to store this within a status effect, so I'm going to actually go ahead and get this same thing here. Let's copy this back, because we want to be able to give it an attribute, an amplitude value. I'm going to call this 9 lives. So if you cast Your Soul is Mine on the cat and then kill it with an imp, does the fabric of space-time gently tear? Oh my god. Please, let's remember that. I'm going to try to remember that edge case. We can go and test that, because I have no idea how that's going to work. All right, I'm going to say this is lives. We'll call it lives left. It's a dynamic trait. Okay. I'm going to put that revive ability in here. Okay. All right, let's save that. I'm going to go back into here. Get rid of that. I'm just moving these things around so I can view them from inside of here. I love the new nested ability of the editor. It's so nice for doing this stuff. Okay. Get rid of that. Okay. So, and right now it's got 1. So that's how we're gonna control the amplitude of it, by just putting in. Actually, we probably should say it as revive on defeat. Is what we're actually gonna call this power. Is what it should actually be. Maybe we should say revive on lives left. Revive with lives. I don't know. I'll say something like that. Okay. We're gonna start with giving it 2 lives, because I'm not sure how this is gonna work yet. And then right now, let's just have it revive on its target space. I'm trying to see what this thing does. Just call it a 1-up. Doing it? Doing it? Yep. Okay. Okay, revive unit on target. Set trait activation used to 0 on target. Okay, we're going to also do subtract from trait. This is a dynamic trait because we just made it up. Called lives left 1. Oh, wait. Fixed number 1. Okay. This using the fixed number prevents it from using the amplitude. Okay. So target subject, trigger subject ability user, property, trace dynamic, lives left is greater than 0. Okay, so he's got 2 lives. He'll die. He'll lose 1. He'll die again. So he should be able to come back 2 times. I think I did this right. Okay. This doesn't do anything, so we're fine there. That's just there as a placeholder so we can copy that stuff later. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's test him out. So right now he's going to come back 2 times. You know what? One more thing I'm going to do here. Let's go ahead and cut this. Put that in there. I live, I die, I live again. Live, die, repeat. Another one of my favorite movies. Great movie. Great movie. Love Tom Cruise. Awesome actor. Favorite actor. Okay. Amp times. Witness meow. Clever name is awesome. All right, save that. Oh, I got two descriptions going here. That's because I forgot to delete the one in here. Okay. All right, so now that should be dynamic. Okay, cool. So he's got 2 lives. We got 5 lives. Good. Okay, that's working. All right, we're going to start with 2 lives so it's a little easier to test him. And let's make sure he comes back 2 times. We should probably do something where we're going to place a status effect on him or something like that. I'm imagining something a little bit more intricate so we can actually like see how many lives he has left. Otherwise, it's going to be really weird. And we also want to make it so he's not OP. So having a status effect that you can remove might also help. All right, but we're going to go ahead and test him out as he is. Get one part working at a time. All right, let's replace the Hydra. We know he's working. We're going to do quad cat of 9. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I have a feeling, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get through all the edge cases of cat of 9 in 20 minutes, but we're going to try. All right, so he's a 1/1. He's got 2 lives. All right, here's life number 1. Hoot! He's back! I feel like dispelling his 9 lives might make him too weak. Perhaps. But I need a way to track the 9 lives. You know what we could do, though? We can still have a status effect, but I can add a cannot remove status effect, so you can't stop him that way. And then the only way to get rid of him would be to use Disintegrate, which obliterates the downfall ability. Okay, that's 2 lives. All right, so this time he dies, he should not come back. Oh dear, he came back again. Okay. Can you stack the status effect? Oh, man. So it appears that he's apparently immortal. You can keep killing this cat, he just keeps coming back. Die! Why won't this cat die? I'm having way too much fun with this, as you can see. Okay, so clearly something's wrong here. Um, I think I know what the problem is. Um, let's go back to units. Quad cat of 9. I'm trying to think if when he resurrects, I think that this ability here is adding more to his lives remaining is the problem. I think we're going to need to store the lives remaining inside of him instead. Let's do it that way. At least that's my theory, is that when it recreates... Well, see, it actually still does make sense. We're going to try storing lives left there and see what happens. Right, because he's a new unit. But he's not a new unit. That's why I said that I'm not sure why it's treating him as a new unit. It's maybe because the abilities, it's wrapped in his abilities. I'm not sure. We're going to test it, though. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but we're going to see if that does it. Also... Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. It was working fine. Let's go back out of this. Get out of there. We weren't decrementing the lives. We forgot to add the decrement there. Or at least we didn't save it when we did it. See, there's the problem. Nothing, wasn't subtracting his lives. I thought, because I remember putting it in there because I remember using the fixed number and everything, and I just, oh, what's going on here? Just must have forgot to save it. All right. Subtract from traits dynamic lives left by 1 on target. Okay, save, and then save, and then save. Okay, let's try him again. All right. Well, the good news is we got him coming back, so that part of it was able to work, so we didn't have to use recursion, which was a good way to do it. Okay, Kitty, now you only have 2 lives. That's 1. Interesting. 2. What's weird is when he comes back, he's coming back with this status effect. He's got the cannot counterattack on him, which is not good. That's 3. He's still coming back. Okay, so something's still wrong. There's a lot of problems here. A lot of problems. Cat of 9. Let me make sure. Did I not save that again? Maybe I forgot to save it again. Nope, it's definitely subtracting it now. Okay. Interesting. So why is he... Oh! The condition's not up there now. Yeah, so we must have forgot to save it that one time. Trigger subject. I gotta add like a little warning to make it so that if I try to leave a panel and I haven't saved, it says, "Do you sure you want to leave?" I need to do that. Okay, so if ability user, property, trace dynamic, lives left is greater than number 0. Okay. Save. Okay. Save. Save. Life 1. Life 2. Alright, that should be it. Now he's dead. Nope, he's got one more. Okay, something's still wrong. Oh! Hey, he didn't come back! Alright, so he had 3 lives, so I did the math wrong. Clever Name says, oh, I gotta read. I missed a few. The special effect looks like something is hitting things adjacent to the cat when he dies. The special effects looks like something is hitting things adjacent to the cat when he dies. Oh, you're right. I just saw that. You're right. There is like a special effect over there. That's weird. Thank you for calling it out. I didn't even notice that. Okay. Yeah, I wonder why those special effects are appearing over there. Let's see if I move them over here if it does something different. Yeah, that's weird. Why is it targeting those spots over there? That's strange. Okay, so we almost got the lives working right. Let's go back to units. He's just getting 3 lives instead. Um, so I did the math wrong on that. That makes even less sense now. Yeah, I'm not sure why those VFX are doing that. We're going to try and figure that out. It's definitely strange. Definitely strange. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, if lives left is greater than 0. Okay, so he starts with 2 lives. We subtract 1. I feel like this seems like it's right. Greater than 0. I didn't say greater than or equal to 0. Oh, I guess you have to take into account the fact that he's got the life he starts with as well. So he's got 2 extra lives plus his starting life. So for that number to make sense, if we were going to say he's got 9 lives, he's got 9, we'd have to say 8 instead. Or I could just do greater than 1, and that would fix it too. That's probably the easiest way to do it. I just think it reads a little bit better. Does it decrement after the lives, decrement the lives after the revive? Um, I don't think it matters when it decrements it. The problem is that he has 2 lives plus his starting life, because we weren't taking into fact account that he's already alive. So he was alive. He had plus 2 extra lives. So his first life, then he was killed. At least I think that's right. No, I'm not sure now. All right, let's see. I think it's right now though. Okay, so when we say he has 2 lives, I want him to be able to die You should die twice and come back. So here's his first death. Came back. Yeah, he has 2 extra lives, right? All right, and now he won't come back. Okay, so that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, 2 extra lives was the correct thing. So that's why it was a little bit weird. So I either need to change that to say extra lives, and then say it's 8. But because we're going to use the word 9, so this is actually correct with the text now. So it's correct. Defeated 2 times. He was defeated twice, so he died twice. DUI should probably communicate the total lives, not extra lives. Yes, and that is correct, and that's what it's doing now. So he has Attila has been defeated 2 times. That's 1 defeat, and that's 2 defeats. So he's dead for good now. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, that's kind of fun. So we got at least that part of him working. The lives works, and that's tunable, so that's cool. All right, now we've got this weird VFX problem and all the weird edge cases where we take control of the cat and we become the cat. That's going to be interesting and fun. So yeah, um, let's go ahead and try out some of the edge cases. I'll worry about the VFX later. I'm kind of excited to try out some of these edge cases. So let's get in. Let's swap in transfer consciousness here. Get rid of time travel. Okay. Okay. So what's going to happen if I become the cat? I am the cat, and I die. I lost. Okay. So we would expect that if you become the cat, then you get to resurrect as the cat as well. So we're going to have to put in some conditions to program that. So we're going to go into units, quad cat of 9. Okay. So what we need to do is, now see the problem is that when it's removed from play, yeah, that's the whole reason you would become the cat, absolutely. So this is the problem is that we're waiting for him to be removed from play. That's when we do this revive. We need to make it so that when he's defeated, he's no longer the hero, and when he returns, he is. So we're going to need a new trigger. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to say set hero off on. Defeat. This is going to be a little bit weird how we're going to do this now. Okay, so we want the triggered ability to be defeat. And then target that was defeated, ability user is event target. Yeah. Cannot downfall. And these are all the same conditions. That's correct. Good. Okay, and what I want to have happen, I don't want this cast. I don't want this. Execute on trigger. Do you lose if there is no unit which is the hero, or do you lose when a hero unit dies? You lose when your hero unit dies. So that's what we're gonna fix this. We're gonna basically turn off the hero status while the cat's doing his revival process, then give it back to him, and that will prevent it from happening. If you remove your hero, then you lose if all your characters on the board are dead, or if there's no units in suspension. I guess that could be a problem too. There might be an edge case where the cat's the only thing left, and then you lose him, and during the revival process, you might not be able to come back. That'd be kind of interesting and weird. So I might have to add some kind of special property for like suspend defeat because we know that there's something coming back. Although that might not be the case. I think you'd still be okay because the remove is, well, let's just test. I'm going off on a tangent here, and I've only got 7 minutes, so let's try and get this done. Okay. So what we need to do is, this can be just none. Okay. set trait dynamic was hero to target trait is hero. Set trait is hero 0. Okay, set trait was hero to this, so then we're set trait is hero to 0 on target. Good. I can get rid of all these VFX here. We don't need this stuff. Good, good, good. Okay, and here what we're going to do is set trait is hero equal to dynamic trait was hero. Okay, that should do it. So let's see if that does the trick. Okay. Grassy path. Become the cat. Ah, I still lost the game. Not sure why that happened. It should have should have turned him off. I'm confused. Here's what we're gonna do. Thinking here. I want to be able to look at the logs. If I turn on debug, test options, force explore, I think that'll keep it in the game. Let's see. Ha! He came back, but after I was defeated. That's what I was curious was going to happen. I'm still alive. In your face, computer. But the game already ended. That's interesting. I believe it was because of the defeat trigger. Must have already counted the character as being defeated. That's really weird. It's almost like we need to have that trigger happen sooner. Let's take a look and see the log. That might help us get an idea what's going on. Okay. Yes. Okay. The issue was that the set lose on hero defeat triggers at the same time. So because this was already triggered, yeah. So there's a couple ways we could fix this. We could check this rule here and see if there is a hero and if they're defeated, so it can have like a redundancy in check. Yeah, this is exactly what happened here. Is that this resolved at the same time as that other trigger, or we have to do a thing where like if yeah, I'm trying to think. The cat that comes back, but it doesn't matter because you already lost. There you go. Yeah, I thought that would work. So the key is that we need to have this other trigger happen before this can fire, and they're both listening for the same defeat event, so it has to happen before the defeat, or we have to have redundancy. I'm going to look at one option. I'm going to take a look at that global rule. All right, so at least I know what's causing the problem. Set lose on hero defeat. So this does not have any redundancy check. Is it possible to sidestep the problem, prevent the cat from dying? Well, what we could do to sidestep it is just look for the damage or the life attribute. I'm just wondering if there's any other way to defeat a hero though. Then if in the future we make a spell that doesn't defeat the hero or that can defeat something without dealing damage, then that wouldn't work. But that would basically be the idea is we have to the cat's turning off the hero has to happen before the defeat which would be able to trigger. Or we could have a redundancy in here, which would be assigned We filter the targets, and then we say trigger target subject target traits is hero is greater than or equal to number 1. So what this will do is basically add a secondary check. So initially when the trigger event fires, that logic was valid, but then during the resolution step, it's going to check it again, and in this case it won't be valid. So that should keep the cat from dying. Let's try that. So we had to modify the global rule just for this cat, but not bad. Let's see if it works. This really tests your programming skills, I tell you. Okay. Ah! It worked! I'm back as the cat, and you didn't win, computer. And I can still cast things. Meow! Meow! I love the cat casting spells. There's just something weird about that. That's funny. Got it. Love the goblins suspend while they're on fire there. Cool. So there you go. We made a everlasting cat hero. That's pretty fun. Now make sure you lose if the cat dies for real. Oh, that's interesting. I did not lose if the cat died for real. So there you go. There's the edge case right there. We have to make sure that when the lives left is 0, we have to not do that. So that was interesting. Okay, that's my alarm going off. So we're almost there. Clever name. We've almost got the cat working. I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a weird, fun ability. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining the stream today. I appreciate your support as always. Again, if you're not already a player of Summoner's Fate, you can learn more on our website, summonersfate.com. We've got an amazing community on Discord. Join here at the links on top. Buy our pre-release, help support our development, and we'll see you again next week for another exciting Develop with Ross stream. All right, guys. I'll be on Discord today later as well if you want to chat.